We're gonna have a savage workout. That's what this is, savage. Honestly, I got literally the biggest pump I've had since I was like in high school taking Jack. Remember Jack? We used to call it Jack 3D. I don't even know if it's legal anymore. Like that's how crazy that pre-workout was. Today is pull day, back day. A lot of lats, some biceps, some traps. And this is week 2 of the bulk, so the bulk has begun. We didn't film last week because it was the holidays and I got super sick, but we are officially 2 weeks in. Actually, we're 1 week in because I just got sick and I just kind of fucked off all of the holiday week, I'm gonna be honest. But right now, we are officially done with the reverse diet. I'm up 10 pounds since my stage weight. The reverse diet was very successful. I stayed pretty lean, gained 10 pounds of good weight. I put on an inch on my chest and lats. I put on an inch on my legs, on my quads, which I was pumped about. However, left quad is actually smaller by an inch. So I have, this quad is an inch smaller than this quad. I've had 2 surgeries on my left leg, that's why. And I put a 1/4 of an inch on my arms, which is actually really exciting because that's a good amount for your arms. But now the real weight gain process begins. So now we're gonna start documenting the entire bulk. This is gonna be a lean bulk, hopefully not get fat in the process, but we're gonna be really pushing and accumulating volume. So starting this week, we're gonna start slowly ramping up volume. So you're gonna see every week, we're gonna be adding more sets, adding more load. I'm gonna be pushing the weight because I want to gain weight. I wanna gain good weight. And we'll touch on how much weight I should probably gain at a time and all that. But my goal is to show you what I'm doing so you guys can learn from the bulk and see how to do it properly, which is all in accumulation to the overarching goal, which I haven't shared with many people yet, and that's to turn pro. So I am striving to get my pro card in men's physique. It is gonna be a push, probably gonna compete in early 2025, summer of 2025 at the most, but that means I'm gonna spend an entire year just trying to put on mass. But that's what it takes. If I want to take my physique all the way to the pro level, I gotta put on some size. So we're gonna spend a whole year trying to put on mass. I will do a mini cut or 2 in there just to make sure I'm keeping health and body fat in check. But otherwise, the goal is to put on size, go pro by 2025, and challenge myself with something like never before, really. And we're gonna document that process. I'm gonna chug this green crush. Then we're gonna get into a back day, starting with a lot of lats. We'll touch on some of the bulk process as we go. This is something people get wrong. I'm gonna ask you, Brandon, which handle do you think is gonna target my lats more? So if I'm doing a pull down and I'm trying to get my lats, what do you think is gonna
you're gonna want the widest one because where your elbow goes, you grow.
Who gave you that tip?
This guy.
Where your elbow goes, you do grow. However, the truth is you actually don't want a super, super wide grip. The problem when you go super wide, so what you're saying is true, where your elbow goes, you will grow, especially in a horizontal row, because if I row low, I'm gonna get my lats, right? But with wide grip, a lot of times, especially if somebody's using a normal like pull down, where we're going here, though it's more of like a Terry's row, what they call it, or pull down, because I'm going way out here and I'm getting a lot of this upper rear delt, not that much actual lat, because I can't get into this position. But to get into this low elbow position is gonna be easier with a neutral grip that's more like just outside my shoulder width. But I asked you that because it's a trick question. Most people go to the widest, but that's not always the case. I'm probably gonna be in the middle of these two. So a good way to look at it is this is gonna be like shoulder width. This isn't gonna be bad because I'm like right here. That could be good. This could also be really good because it's just barely outside. So basically, if you went right here, you're probably gonna be at about that grip. Maybe a little bit wider, but we don't wanna go super wide. Do a couple sets of heavy pull downs, work up to a heavy weight, and then we'll do some back off sets. I'm gonna go up a little bit. So we've gone from 90 to 120 to 150, now 170. Typically, like, we're looking at doing a solid 2 to 3 ramp up sets. So for my program right now, I'm looking at like literally 2 heavy sets and 2 drop sets, which means I've already done 4 sets, but I'm only counting 2 of them. I want to work up to it, and I might do that in the middle of a program as well. So with bigger lifts, like a pull down, a bench press, anything that is a compound lift or just a heavier lift that takes more energy, I want to slowly work up to it. I'm not tracking all that volume as specifically as I could. I'm just focused on getting a couple really solid heavy sets and a couple higher volume, higher rep sets, which is still a good amount of volume, but mostly I'm just focusing on that effort and that execution, and I'm tracking those 2 sets. So if my 2 top sets are at 170 this week, are they gonna be at 190 next week? Or can I progress on that? This is actually, I think, the last week of this program, but as you watch some of the vlogs, you'll see I do the same thing week after week a lot of times for a solid month to 2 months, and that's a big key for hypertrophy. If you're trying to build muscle and you're trying to improve your physique, you gotta do the same stuff over and over and over again. Too many people switch their program and jump around constantly. But these, the big lifts, you should be tracking those and progressing over a solid chunk of time. Otherwise, you're not progressing. If you're not progressing, you're not growing. Plain and simple. Woo!
What do we have now?
We got Smith machine bent rows. Just got done with the vertical. Now we're gonna go into our main horizontal, which this is probably one of my favorite horizontal rows. Although I really like a seated machine, they call it like a lever row, where like it rotates and you can pull in and it's like you're in that chest supported seat and that the weight plate is like a lever. It probably doesn't make sense how I'm explaining it, but.
How much weight are you trying to gain during this phase?
40 pounds, I'm just playing. I'm trying to gain at a rate, the way I'm looking at it is like, based on this, how we look at everything for our coaching and the way we do things. What does the research show to be basically the maximum amount of muscle an advanced lifter can build on a weekly or monthly basis? Typically we say monthly because it's never linear. You might gain more in week 1 than week 3, even if you don't adjust anything. So you might see no growth, a lot of growth, no growth, some growth, little growth, loss. And then we look at it 3 months later, and did we go up on an average basis for the trend? What the research shows and what I'm following is about 0.25 to 0.5% of total body weight per week on a monthly average basis. I'm 170 pounds, so going into a slight surplus and pushing for growth, and I say slight because we don't need to be in a massive surplus. You don't need to eat a ton of calories, which we'll get to in the next video we do probably for next week. But the research shows 0.25 to 0.5% of total body weight per week. For me, that's gonna be somewhere between 0.4 to 0.8. So it's about 1.5 pounds to 3 pounds per month. I'm gonna assume 3 pounds at first per month, and then it's probably gonna slow down. So let's say like 2 pounds on average per month. Over 12 months, if I put on 24 pounds, I'll be 194 pounds, 24 pounds of added tissue on my body.
What do we got next?
We're gonna do another horizontal row where we're gonna use a cable machine on this one. I like to keep things pretty simple. We did 3 hard sets here, 4 hard sets on the lat pull down with a couple ramp up sets. Now we're gonna do a cable row. We're gonna do 3 sets there. Then we're gonna finish with some straight arm pull downs, 2 sets there, hit some face pulls, so upper back, 4 sets, finish with biceps. But really, I'm focusing more on lats, so I have 4 exercises for lats, stretching and contracting the muscle in different patterns or really like focuses or emphasis of more stretch, more contraction, different angles, different joint positions. But typically when we look at a muscle, it's like in a single session, do 3 or 4 really good exercises, sometimes even 2 to 3 per muscle. Don't overcomplicate. You don't need to do a million different exercises. Do a few, row with your elbow position at a different angle on each day, 2 exercises for each part of your back, boom, you're done. Push yourself hard, that is the most important thing. Get enough volume of hard effort training, you'll grow.
work out harder when the camera's on?
You know, if I'm being completely honest, I think I ramp up quicker when the camera's on. Like, I'm more amped to get training and get going and pushing it because it's like an event. If you're not here filming me, I'm here basically by myself. And that can be challenging for anyone sometimes. I mean, you're just by yourself. Doing the work when no one's watching is the most important thing though, in all areas of life. Despite it being hard to do the work when no one's watching, that's when the most results happen. That's when the majority of the process in your journey is done. And I always just try to remind myself of that. The other thing for me too is like, and this has been a big topic of discussion, it's like whether or not trainers should be shredded or in shape. Like, I don't believe trainers or coaches have any excuse not to be in shape. I don't think you have to be shredded. I have physique competitive goals, so I plan on being shredded in certain periods of time. In the off season, I plan on being bigger than most people, like more jacked, because I have an extreme goal. However, if you're a trainer or a coach, you almost have to have an extreme standard because people are literally paying you money to hold them to a new standard. Because the average person who hires me and my team to help them lose weight, build muscle, change their life, the standard they have set for themselves is low. That's why they need change in their life. So they hire me because they see and trust that I hold myself to a certain standard, and therefore I can keep them accountable of holding themselves to a new standard. I will hold them accountable to that standard. And now they're better because of it. If I'm not in great shape, if I'm not fit, if I'm not pushing myself in here when no one's watching, how am I gonna be the person that helps other people change when they got shit going on, or when they're in the gym alone and they gotta get motivated, or when their body's not cooperating with them because of hormones or whatever it may be? They need to trust somebody who does the work consistently over time and holds themselves to a higher standard to hold them to a higher standard too. And that's why I'm successful at what I do, is because I will never let that slide. Even if I got stuff going on in my life, I'm still gonna do the bare minimum work, stay in shape, because I owe it to the people that follow me, watch me, listen to my podcast, hire us for coaching. That is the agreement I made with God and with myself to live this life and be of this standard in this role and this responsibility. Long-winded answer and rant, but that's been a topic that's been touchy for me lately. People getting triggered by that. Trainers should be in shape, plain simple. And I know if I'm in here alone, if I'm not doing the work, nobody has a right to trust me to get them to do it when nobody's around either. And so I train hard every time I train. It's a good example of gauging your effort to determine the set length. So right here I have 12 to 15 reps. I just did 19 or 20 because I underestimated the load. And a lot of people make this mistake by choosing a load and then doing the reps provided in the plan. But if the reps provided in the plan don't match the RIR, the reps in reserve that is associated with that set, you should keep going. So I know I need to get within 1 rep of failure on this, maybe 2. So I need to push myself pretty hard. If I would have stopped at 15 like the program said, I would have had 5 in the tank. So I pushed it to 20. Now I know, and I'm gonna bump the weight up. that is a wrap with pull day 1 of the week, first official week in the bulk. It's gonna be a long journey. My goal is to build a solid minimum of 5 pounds in the next 3 months this quarter, so by March 31st, January 2nd as we're filming this. We'll see how it goes. We're gonna update you guys every week. I'm gonna dive deep into my diet and my supplementation in the next video, so be sure to watch out for that video. We'll drop that next week where I dive into my whole day of eating, calories, the surplus I'm in, what kind of supplements I'm taking, and exactly what to do with your diet, how big of a surplus, what kind of foods to eat, worrying about digestion and what kind of supplementation, all that stuff just for muscle growth. So be on the lookout for that. If you enjoyed this video, if you enjoy the knowledge, the tips, the training stuff that I provide you with, please do me a huge favor. Leave a comment, ask me any question. I would love to help you out. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for the next one.